Hey guys, this is Bridgette Stilley, and today I'm welcoming Lindsay Norton, the best broker in Bavard, to be unfiltered. Hi, Lindsay.
Hi.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, I know you're a busy mama. Everything that you do, taking the time to come down and sit with me means a lot to me. So,
Thank you.
absolutely. First, let's do a little cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome. Can you believe we're sitting here?
No,
It's
I
kinda-
don't often get to just take a minute and reflect on anything on Fridays. So
I know. You came in and I thought, oh my gosh, you're so busy. So thank you so much. When I first started this, thinking about this podcast, you were very much on the top of the list that I wanted to sit down. Number one, you've just been such an inspiration. You've been, I think that what you do is pretty incredible. I don't know how you do it all. So thank you. What I wanted to talk about is how we first met.
Okay.
And so I got my real estate license in 2021. And on the football field, I ended up meeting Ellie Chan.
hmm
Our sons played football together, and I didn't realize I was a new agent, so I was a little green. She
Yeah.
was top in her field, and she'd always say, hey, if you want to come meet Lindsay and see what Remax is all about. And I thought, no. And then eventually I convinced DJ, I said, hey, let's take a meeting. It seems like a really good opportunity. So that's kind of how it started. And I got on Ellie's team and came over to Remax, became a Remax Solutions agent.
Yes.
And that was a really big deal in my world because I was such a newbie. And what I was so impressed was with your training and all these agents. And I'd go into all the meetings and the trainings, and I just thought this was like wonderful. So we'll talk about all that in a minute.
Yeah.
And we'll get a little personal here because, we just had our 3-year anniversary. October 14th, 2022 is when I came over. And then in March 2023, my husband passed. And honestly, I obviously didn't think about work or real estate or what I was going to do.
Right.
And probably within 2 or 3 weeks, because I was working with a client at the time, and I had a house that was listed.
hmm
And you and Ellie stepped in and totally took over, made me feel so supported. And that meant obviously a lot to me. So
Yes. That's one of the things that I think is really important is when somebody needs you, that is when you really have to step up and show them that you are a person who they can count on and a person who is going to make sure that everything is handled for them. And
it was to like 150%. And I had a client at the time, Brett and Matt. And 3 weeks later, I said, hey, if you guys are ready, let's go. So I kept going, and it didn't work. That was probably, I maybe had 1 or 2 sales in that year. But what impressed me and why I will always be loyal is you never cared about the bottom line or what I was, the sales. And I feel like there's probably some brokers that could have been, okay, it's been 6 months where we're at. And you've just let me figure out what I want, my goals. And now we're, 2.5 years later, and my goals are going big, and we're
Right.
sitting down. And so I don't know if you probably know that. I think maybe 6 months after I came in for a training, and I think I just hugged you. It was like, thank you.
Yes.
And that was like a really big deal. I was like,
Yeah. Always for you to have that space to figure out what you need to do at a time like that. It's just no one could tell you what you need. You would have to be the person to feel that out and get to that point where you were ready.
And your team, like Peggy. Peggy, I see her and she just gives me the biggest hugs. She's so supportive.
Yeah.
So you definitely surround yourself with wonderful people and it's been a great experience.
Yes. The
the staff of our office is so amazing. And it's not just Peggy and Tisha, Amy, oh my gosh, it's the best. Yeah, she'll help you through any transaction. And then of course, we were so lucky we got Dawn back. Yes, which I didn't it worked with Dawn before, and now every time I come in, she's at the front and yeah, wonderful. She's great. She's really great. So she had been with us for a long time before, and then she had a different opportunity that she went to for a while, and then she was, at a spot where it was work for her to come back, and we needed her to come back, so it like stars aligned. So in that sense, just feel like we're whole again. I love that. I love that. So let's dive back a little bit, and because I really want to get to know you a little bit more and where your like badass boss comes from. Because like when I look at you, I'm not gonna lie, it's like a little intimidating when I first started because you're so focused, and I it's I think it's you just have 1,000 things right here, and so I'm always I was intimidated. I was new to the game and I didn't want to say something that I shouldn't. And so, but now, I feel so much more comfortable and you're awesome. I really, really think. I don't know if you give yourself enough credit, but you probably don't. Talk about myself much. Well, not a lot of people do. Yeah, but I'm here to say great. So I was very like, hopefully we're gonna talk a lot about business and things like that because I just never really talk about myself. But I'm gonna get it easy to do it a little bit, right? So you're born in St. Augustine. Yeah. That is I'm from California. So when I go to St. Augustine, I think it's so pretty and I've only really done the touristy things. Right. What's it like growing up out there?
So it was a really small town behind the scenes of, what everybody in the nation knows about it being the nation's oldest city. But for us, it was just this really small, close knit community behind the scenes. And, we had at that time when I grew up, just the one main high school for the whole area. Now they have like three. It's
Oh,
just
wow.
grown so much. So that was I had, friends who were my friends since I was really little, and we went all the way through school because there was not a ton of different schools and
Sure.
different options like that. So to see it now is really kind of shocking or surprising, but
It's one of the biggest destinations with the Festival of
yeah,
Lights and the fort and the field trips.
yes,
So you think it's this magical place,
right.
but I'm sure, you know, years ago it probably really was truly magical because it was a little bit
It
smaller.
was like, yeah, it was really special. But my friends that were their parents were, in the armory and things like that. They had houses right downtown that were issued to them, through the armory. And we would get to go and hang out at their house and play hide and seek in like a graveyard from like
Oh my gosh.
1800. So it was like very unique, different.
You were the
Yeah.
first to do ghost tours.
Right, we were doing our own ghost tours,
That's awesome.
We
How
were not doing the
fun
ones that go on
on
now.
the trolleys, right?
Yeah.
So it's was sports a big, prevalence in the area? Were you into sports? Did you do any?
So well, sports wasn't big in my family, but I was into sports as far as, I wanted to be at everything or part of everything. So I was cheerleading, football. I liked to be a part of, whatever was going on at the school and with my friends. So I was always doing something. I was never just home.
Never just
You would
home.
never find me just home.
And I think that's probably translated, or transcend into your adult life as well and all that. So when you were, I always ask this question, like, what did you want to be when you were a little girl? Was it, the princess? Was it the doctor? What?
So my grandmother and grandfather, they had a little fruit stand that was like out off of this like country road. Well, it was then. Now it's like a main road that goes out to the outlet center. But before we had this little fruit stand. And so even though it was a fruit stand, right, I always was like, no matter what, because they had retired from having a gas station and a restaurant. And even they got bored and then they opened their little fruit stand. And it started as just, oh, we're going to sell a few things on the side of the road, and then turned into, now they've got this building and they've got all these different stations. And
Wow.
so I always was like, I want to do some sort of business, but I didn't really know what that would be, or wasn't really attached to what it had to be. Because I watched like my grandmother, they evolved into all different types of businesses, and that's just kind of what they did. They just evolved into a new.
That honestly explains so much of how you have all these businesses now. So your grandparents, would you say they inspired you to kind of be where you're at and be able to do what you're doing?
Yeah.
Like watching them kind of build something from the ground up. I think that's amazing.
Yeah. They never, my grandmother never, even when she was like, I can't be out at the fruit stand, then she made her gardening this big production, so it was always something that she was turning into a big project.
So you knew you wanted to be in business. You knew you kind of wanted to do your own thing, be your own boss, maybe? Or
Yeah.
did you ever think, oh, I'll work for somebody else? Or you
Right.
thought, no, I'm going to do my own thing?
I wasn't attached to like, oh, if I need to learn how to do something, right? I'm a person who I'm like, get a coach, get a mentor, let someone teach you how to do it the right way. And then when you get to that point, go and do the different things that you wanted to do, or that you see you're good at, and you could, become that person who's a leader in that specific area. So I, wouldn't have had an issue. Obviously, I did work for other people, and I did
Sure.
work prior to real estate doing marketing for the Space Center for a short time. So, I just wanted to figure out what business I would really be good at. And when I was in college, I started figuring out that I thought it would probably be something where I was working with people and able to, talk with people.
Coach, mentor.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
Or,
really good at it.
or just also being able to talk with people. A lot of times people would tell me things and be like, how did you know that? I'm like, I don't know. I just talked to them and they told me. Or I might interject something and be like, I don't think that they would want to do that because of, this thing that they told me. Just tried to be helpful for people. But then that, I know it's like a buzzword, like emotional, or buzz saying emotional intelligence, of like, sometimes you just pay attention to people and you're like, that's not making them happy, or that's not what
Yeah.
they really seem to be wanting to do. So I always felt like I was good at those types of things, and
Absolutely.
saw
So-
that develop in college, to where I was like, I think that's what.
So in college, you had, so you went to UCF,
Yes.
go Knights.
Yes.
And you talked about some fun jobs you had in college. What
Yes.
were one of the most fun you had?
So I had, well, of course, again, I originally tried to do, the traditional college of like, okay, you join a sorority, you do all these different things at the school. I joined the recruiting team for the football team. So I was doing a lot of different traditional things and trying to balance that with work. And then I was finally like, this isn't working. I feel like I would rather, have fun and do the things that are fun with things that I'm doing for work. So
Sure.
I was working as a Hooters girl at the Lake Buena Vista Hooters, which is right by Disney. So
Okay.
during that time period, there was, so like spring training happening there, so many different events that were going on. And it was just the busiest place. There were so many people that we got to meet, and so many different experiences that I got to be a part of by working there. I worked there all through college. And I also was a Real Rock girl. which was for the local radio station.
Okay.
Uh,
So like promotions and marketing
yeah.
and all that.
So I got to do, tons of like backstage concert type
How
things. And
fun.
yeah,
Meet a bunch
so
of people, do fun things.
yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, so I had a lot of fun things going on there, and I was like, it's not at my school traditional,
Yeah.
outlet for saying like, did you have like a good, fun college experience? Well, I did. It was just in a different.
Yeah, well, I think that sounds like more fun than, and you were in a sorority or you didn't do the sorority?
I wasn't really in
Wasn't your thing?
that. Yeah, no, it wasn't. Although I do like volunteering and that philanthropy side of things. I just really didn't want to go to college and get out and have a ton of debt to pay back. That was really scary to me. And then
Absolutely.
I started being like, if I work more, then I wouldn't have to take as much. And I'm having fun working. It's not like my work is some terrible place to be, and I'm making money. So I kind of adopted that.
Yeah. And to be able to not be debt free. So many people get out of school and that is really scary because if you don't get a job right away and then you're just paying all your loans. So
Yeah.
that's so smart of you to, that's the business side of you. I'm sure that comes out. And
Well, I didn't really understand, but I just knew that feeling of like, I saw how much money it was for the semester, and I'm like, oh, I have to pay that back. And then even at that time, looking back on it, I'm like, that amount of money to me was just like so scary to be obligated to have to pay back.
Absolutely.
That I still ended up having small student loans because I still was, going to school
course.
too. But I just was like, I don't want to have to take more than what I really have to.
So in your family, you have 2 brothers and 2 sisters.
Yes.
So 5 total.
Yes.
And where do you land? Are you the oldest, the middle, the baby?
So I have I have a half sister who did not live with us full time. So of my siblings that lived with us full time, I was the oldest. So my brother closest to me in age would say, no, he's the oldest, just because that's how it went down constantly between us. So it would be like, Mom told me that I was in charge. Well, I don't care if you're in charge. I'm in charge. I'm
Oh,
like,
that's so funny.
that's not what she said. And then I see,
So there's a little bit of power struggle.
oh, a little.
Is there still?
No.
But that's how siblings are, right? That's how my kids are, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Your
there's
kids.
always going to be that.
So you were
dynamic.
the oldest in the house. And did any of your siblings follow in your footsteps? Did they get into the businesses that you're in?
So my sister actually works as a loan processor with our preferred lender for the office. So
Okay.
I do get to talk to my sister for business things and for personal things. I think she's really great at it.
That's great. I had no idea.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
so
love that.
I depend on her a lot whenever it comes to anything with that. I'm like, oh, Juliana will know. She will know. And then my other brother is I don't even really know how to describe how smart he is. He's the head of the University of Texas higher education
Oh my goodness.
department. And he's in all these journals talking about all these studies of the differences that it makes for a person to go to, a university, different demographics, different information, that it just really gets overwhelming for me to even read, much less think about. That's my little brother that used to.
He would make me feel like a dum-dum. I'd be like, and what's happening?
Right. I'm like, and he's a doctor, and I'm like, okay, doctor. But he's a doctor of,
What,
education.
Education.
Yeah. But he's like, oh, I go, and he goes to like be a speaker for when they lobby for certain things at the White
Wow.
House. I mean, it's.
So he's like doing big things.
Yeah, I'm just not even, I can't even wrap my head around it.
So you go get out of school and you got a job for, you said, the Space Center doing marketing. And then tell me, because you've been in real estate for 20 years in the real estate industry.
Yeah, a little over 20 years.
So how'd you make that leap into, getting your license? Where did that, why are you laughing?
Well, because I worked at the Space Center and I really wanted to they had an event venue that they had just started working and I thought, well, I would love to do events because I like organizing things and
Yes.
the opportunity came and then I realized that what the sacrifice would be of the
Mm,
time versus like what you really would make for it working in that corporate type setting.
sure.
And I said, I just don't think that would be for me because if I were going to put that much time into something, then I would want to do it, on my own. So the person who was the manager was like, well, then what are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, I'm really good at sales and selling things and, putting together marketing to sell things.
Yeah.
So if I thought about what the biggest item you can sell is, I'm like, usually that's a house. I was like, so I think I would be really good at real estate. And that's really how I decided on it.
Just a question that,
Oh, I
and,
had
and look at you 20 years later.
thought about it a lot.
Yeah,
Like,
of
what would I
course.
do?
It wasn't just,
Right.
you
And then I said, well, I think I would be really good at it. And I think that this is, instead of me staying here and kind of going through the
spinning your
motions.
wheels
Yeah.
and not being passionate about it.
Right. I was like, I think it's best if I just go
Well,
for it.
You come across as somebody that is very driven and needs to be fulfilled by the drive. So
Yeah.
if you're just doing something, it's probably not fulfilling, is
Yeah.
what I gather.
Yeah. It was a lot of, corporate stuff.
Sure.
You've got 5 different people that are above you that have to approve any little thing that you do. And it was just, that feeling not productive is.
So you go get your real estate license and start working for a broker. How long before what were your first couple years like? Were you just getting it right away? Because I know when I started, I always say I felt like imposter syndrome. I felt like this is, fake it till you make it, especially the first, it's been 5 years, so I have a lot more confidence.
Right.
But that was always my confidence was so low because it is such a big deal when someone buys a house and they're trusting you.
Mhm.
So was it right away you felt confident this was the right field? Tell me how those first couple of years, we want to know, someone that has all these sales and experience, what was it like for you, especially newer agents that are coming into the business?
Right. Well, from the beginning, I started realizing what you really needed to spend your time on. And I started realizing kind of right away that I really need to spend my time on building a pipeline of leads of people who actually want to buy or sell, right? So I realized that kind of right away. So some of the admin type things, I immediately was like, let's see if I can find someone who wants to help me with these kinds of things so I could spend more time, going out, talking with people, trying to get, leads that come in. And, pretty few months. And then I, started having some sales. And then that's when I realized like, I really need to focus on getting more of these leads in line. And then I said, I think I'm going to get a coach. So I got a coach, started doing coaching in a small group setting. And then I realized that I probably needed a private group because I had kind of outgrown the group setting where I'd be like, okay, well, I really wanted to talk about this. And we're still stuck on talking about this that I moved past when they told me to 3 sessions ago.
Sure.
But, you've got people in the group that didn't ever move past that point. So it kind of started making me feel held back a little bit. So then I got a personal one-on-one coach. And I had a coach for 3 years of just navigating through how do you really build your business? How do you really put the systems in place to sustain a business that you've built?
So where did you find a coach like this? Someone that's in real estate, someone?
So at that time, 20 years ago, I went through the Mike Ferry,
Yes.
which is Tom Ferry's dad. Tom Ferry really wasn't even doing coaching then. So that's how
Interesting.
long ago it was. He was very harsh type coach, which really didn't bother me, but I know that that bothers some people. But it was more of like, well, you didn't do it because, you made an excuse and, no money, no,
No gain,
no,
right?
right. Like you can make as many excuses as you want. One of the things he always said was you can make money or you can make excuses. So,
That's
those kinds of things that, you were kind of ingrained. And I was every single week taught that mindset of, consistency always wins, right? Like those types of things that you kind of hear as key phrases that people might say,
sure.
motivational phrases, but they really ingrained that mindset of like, I don't want to get on this call and tell them that I didn't do the things I
Yeah,
said
so
I was
no
going to do.
excuses.
Right. So it really helped me to not make the excuses personally. I know for some people it doesn't work, but for me that did work, that accountability. And I wanted that. And some people don't, or I'd probably say most people don't.
Most people, yeah. Well, we talked about feedback earlier.
Right.
It's hard to take it, right? That's I never would have thought to get a coach. That's very helpful, I think, to probably a lot of people. Um, I know a lot of people now get life coaches.
Yeah.
So was it like professional and life? Do you think it transcended into both?
We didn't talk about my
Personal,
life
it
at
was
all.
just business.
It was really business. In fact, that was one of the cornerstones, I think, of the coaching was not letting, because I did have that time, a brand new baby at first when I started. And then by the time I finished, I had 2 kids that were, under 5 or 5 and under, I think 5 and
was probably
2 or something like
able
that.
to help you separate being a mom and then being the business and having that coach. But man, that's a lot. I mean, to have 2 under 5 and building a business and trying to be successful.
Yeah.
And
So they were like, everybody's got a life. What are you doing with the time that you've set aside to really work? So that was the focus of our coaching. So we really didn't do any personal at all. Maybe if I was sick,
sure.
they might say like, okay, let's talk next week.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that they were, unwilling to
I kind of feel like I need a coach
understand things, but it was still very much just focused on business.
on business. So you are, and this the whole time you're with another broker?
Yes. Yeah.
And so when do you, because I know getting the broker license, I hear is very difficult. Someone said the test is like,
Yeah.
I thought the regular test was hard. I was like, I'm not going to be a broker. So you did that.
Yeah.
How long after from when you started did you get your brokers?
It was about 10 years.
Okay.
So it was
So you were ready.
2014.
Okay.
And so I had done, during the crash of the market, I had done the REO scene, worked with a team, and we were pumping out, 300 plus sales a year of distressed properties.
Wow.
So I had been doing that and really had been focused in on that. And that started to shift and change as the market was changing. And I kind of was like, okay, well, what do I want to do in the next market that's coming, which isn't distressed? But so much of the time that I had been in real estate up till then, it had been in distress. Because, I did short sales starting in like 2006.
Wow.
And then, got to a point where the market was finally recovering and taking that, finally positive turn. So then that's when I said, I think I would have a brokerage at this point.
What explains too why you're so versed in so many things. Anytime I don't care what it is, it's just ask Lindsay. And you always know the answer. I'm like, phone a friend.
Is it good or bad? I don't know.
That's good, but you're so versed because you went through the ups and the downs and
yes, so
you
many
stayed.
crazy.
So how many people, I mean, even in the last 5 years, the agents, were skyrocketed and now those agents aren't agents anymore, because
Yeah.
when it's good, it's great. When it's not good, you have to figure it out.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you were able to figure it out, pivot from it, be successful, and,
Try to get in front of, okay, this is changing. And so I got to make some sort of move or change,
absolutely.
because what you're doing at that point is no longer working, right? So I feel like it's so important with anything that you do to just always be getting that feedback, as hard as it might be to hear sometimes, and really trying to find out, like, what can I do to evolve into what's happening. And there's a ton of changes happening
Well,
in our
this last
industry.
year has been pretty insane.
Yeah.
So, like in 2014, you start your own brokerage. Was that immediately with Remax?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So prior to that, I had been a Remax agent.
Okay.
So then that I knew that I liked the brand, and, that was kind of a natural progression for
Where
me.
you were at.
hmm
So Remax, and you do that. How many agents do you start with? Do you bring agents with you? Did you already have a team?
So I had a few people who had worked on I had like a referral team, but I really didn't go and like say, okay, everybody, you should come with me, because they were working in a referral capacity. So they still had their own businesses going on there. It wasn't like they were like under me, as far as like all their leads came from me or something of that nature.
Sure.
So I really didn't go to them and say, like, I of course said like I'm going to leave or whatever, but I wasn't pressuring people
No,
to.
I wouldn't think that's your style anyways.
No.
Not at all.
So
I
it-
think naturally, if I worked with you and you told me you were going to start, I would be, I'm on board. Let's go. I'm hopping on the Lindsay train, because she's going places. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I didn't like bring over initially any agents with me. It evolved into, who wanted to join the office, and kind of started evolving of, who would be the people that were there naturally once we started putting out that this is what I was going to be doing. So it wasn't that I went and said, like, okay, I'm bringing
Sure.
all, this group of people.
Was it first, where was your first office? Was it Merritt Island?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. North
Is that
Merritt
the
Island.
same office that you have now? It's a different location?
Yeah, no. So we started out, we were renting a place in Merritt Island. And then once the lease was up, for commercial, you have to sign sometimes pretty long-term leases. So
Absolutely.
once you finally get out of it, it's like, do you want to go into another one, or do you want to try to get something that, would be yours? So
Yeah.
we decided to get a building that when the lease was up there. So that's what we kind of progressed into.
So the first year, what's that like being a broker? Was it everything you thought? What were some of the challenges?
It was challenging, because when you're used to being a person who you only have to worry about your production at the end of the day, even if I had, people who were working as a team with me or collaborated with me on a certain listing or project, at the end of the day, I count on myself to make things work, and I don't have to worry about what other people were doing. So it was an adjustment for me to take a step back and say, okay, you have to literally focus on what other people are doing and make sure that they're doing, at the steps and the things that need to be done for them to be successful. And so it was a mindset shift. And anytime you do something like that, it's hard to figure out the best way to really get in a groove with it. But eventually I got it and was like clicked, and I started to understand, these are the important things, and these are the things that aren't important.
Sure. I'm sure over 1 year, 2 year, 3 year.
And that's different today than it
was 10 years
year
ago.
one, right? Like
Sure.
today I see things different than I did then. So that I don't think has ever changed. I feel like each year's been hard, and it's been hard in its own way, because again, when you're on your own doing, you're doing your own thing, it's just you.
Absolutely.
So as people's needs change, as the industry changes, as the market changes, it's rediscovering again, how do I meet that level? How do I get to the point where I'm actually useful as a broker for people to where they feel like, this matters and this makes a difference. And if I didn't have these things, I wouldn't be in this, plus or positive situation.
Sure. What do you think is the biggest mistake agents make? I'm sure there's a few, but like what comes to your,
I think not establishing that network, the people who are going to be your past clients, your people who are in your network of people who you meet and you talk to and and that you have relationships with, not establishing some way for you to have contact with them consistently. I think that so many agents that don't do that are missing out on a ton of business.
I'm probably one of those agents. What advice would you give to me? Because sometimes I don't like to put myself as, oh, hey, I'm Bridgette Silly, I'm an agent, or
Yeah.
they know me and they know I do real estate. And especially after EJ passed, it was, oh, you still do real estate. So of course I still do real estate.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to maybe get it into the conversation and then turn that into, let's sell your house, or do you know somebody? So what advice would you say for me? I'm on the football field or I'm at the grocery store.
Well, so anytime you're at a grocery store type situation and it's somebody who you don't really necessarily know, the easiest in for any kind of conversation about real estate is to ask people what they do. Then they usually reciprocate with asking you what you do. And then 9 times out of 10, they have some sort of thing that has been on their mind about real estate, because everybody cares about their home. That's a lot of times their biggest investment. And so they want to know about the market, or they're interested in investing, or their neighbor's house is on the market and they think that they could sell their house for more, or different aspects of real estate that they wanted to talk to somebody about. So a lot of times it's just finding a way to get into the conversation of
Absolutely.
what you do.
That is so simple. So what do you do?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to write that down. I'm going to put it up here in the noggin.
Yep.
And I'm going to see if I could turn that into some. Because I do talk about it, but I guess because I'm a good salesperson, but I have a hard time selling myself.
Yeah.
And that's where, but then once we're working together, I have all my clients you go above and beyond. You're so amazing.
Right.
So I guess that comes back to confidence as well.
And that just further speaks to exactly what we were saying before, that if you're working that network and you've got that in place, there's so many people that would advocate for you if you were top of mind to them.
It's about being top of mind and
yeah. And it's not about like, oh, I really need a sale. Please tell somebody that, I need you to get me a lead. It's more about that a lot of times people want to share their experience that was positive, like past clients. They would want to help people not get into a bad situation.
Sure.
But they just sometimes think maybe you're too busy. Maybe you're not looking for a new client. So it's always making sure that they know one thing with marketing for agents that I see them do a lot is talk about how busy they are, which could have that opposite effect with people.
Sure.
Like, she doesn't really need my referral. I don't want to waste her time with my little referral.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And so making sure you don't put that out as your marketing, that I'm just so busy.
I'm just too busy. Don't call me.
Like I do want.
There's like a fine
business,
line.
yeah.
Sure.
But then also that natural conversation that you're going to be able to have with people anyway. Partnering that a lot of times with, you were saying, like for the football field, supporting, sponsoring, showing that you give back to that community. Those people want to give back to you and help you as well.
Absolutely.
So places where you're already naturally a part of it and you're going to be a part of it anyway, stepping up to say like, okay, well, I could sponsor that, or I could do that. And that would be a good way for me to remind everybody that I do sell real estate, but I'm going to be here anyway. And I'm bought into this organization, or I'm going to be a part of this group no matter what. That natural progression of that, I think works really, really well to keep that network
Absolutely.
together.
So let's name off all your businesses, right?
Well, they're all
That are-
real estate
They're
related.
all real estate, right? So first off, what time do you wake up?
It just depends on
4
what I
a.m.?
have to do that day. Sometimes I'm a get it done person. So if that means that I have to stay up late or get up early, whatever that's going to take to get that task done or to make that work, then I'll do that.
How many emails are in your inbox daily?
I keep up with them, so I try to
Like right away? Just
I
think you get
don't
like 100 emails a day?
ever. I have a goal to not have 100 sitting, because there's some things that I leave sitting because I'm not done with it.
Sure,
per se.
Because you emailed me back by the end of the day, if not sooner.
Yes.
And so you have this ability, as one of your agents, I will say, to make me feel important. And I truly
You
feel
are.
that way. And I know, but you're available.
Yes.
And a lot of people aren't available. And so I know, I always think like, how does she sleep? Does she sleep? Because not only do you have, you have Rise Realty,
Yes.
which I'm with
Yes.
and I love, and I like the colors.
Yes. It's very fun.
It is a fun. I know some people thought I left you, and I said, no.
Yeah.
It's just a different division. Would you
Right.
say? Is that
Yeah.
how you would call it? And then you have Solutions Property Management,
Yes.
which I
That's-
did that for a couple of years. And
Yeah.
property management is it's tasking. It's
Right.
a lot. It's a lot.
Not everybody's favorite.
I handed it over after a couple of years, graciously, and Bobby took over, which was great. And but that was a great experience. I learned a lot with property
Oh, yeah.
management, and I mean it's a lot. And so you have those three
Yeah, and then we have partnerships, of course,
partnerships.
with preferred vendors type partnerships. But that's like our main businesses. Property management is its own animal.
Yeah, you could probably spend all day with emails and dealing with people, and so
Oh, you could.
Yeah.
We have it's kind of separated from like your general email with property management. You shouldn't be getting general emails from most people. They should be coming through a system that's kind of like task oriented. And
well, that's what I learned, that I was doing it all wrong. And I learned that I was too available and I was doing too much. Bobby said, "You did what?" "Well, yeah, I got to make the client happy." He goes, "No,
Yeah.
you just, and it's something as a newer agent, I didn't realize that I was doing it probably a little bit too much, but now I'm not doing that at all. So
Right. Boundaries with property management is the most critical.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that. So all your real estate, I read this number and it's pretty incredible. So over 500 million in sales in 20 years,
Yes.
like 500 million.
Yes.
Do you ever think, wow? Or do you think, how am I going to get another 10 million? Do you ever get to celebrate?
I think that sometimes I will take a step back and say, this is a time that I should feel like I've accomplished something, right?
100%.
So awards wise, I got the top 30 under 30 for Realtor magazine. So then
That's a big deal.
it was a big.
Did that make you just drive you further and think
Yeah.
all the sacrifices, all the late nights, and all the things I've probably maybe missed for, your kids or something, that maybe that was,
It was a big award.
I mean, the
And
top,
then
that's pretty cool. That's
they-
badass. I say that, it's badass.
Yeah. Then they did a web favorite contest, and they was just telling your story, and people could vote for which story that they liked. And then the top 5 people got to be on the cover that year. And so I got picked to be one of the people on the cover. And that was,
Of course you did.
I
I'm
got
not
to go
surprised.
to like realtor headquarters and they did like a whole photo shoot and it
Oh,
was just so much fun and so unique of an experience
that
that
does sound great.
is something that I always take as a huge accomplishment.
And you should, and well deserved, absolutely. So with all of this, real estate driving you in your professional life, you have 4 boys,
Yes.
right? Ages from 6,
6 to 20.
20, and we kind of talked about the 20-year-old.
Yes.
That's hard. How is that? Not hard. It's just a hard age. Is it letting go? Is it
Yeah,
him becoming an adult? And
it's navigating that period of time where, you know, they
and
are
you also, by the way, you look like you're 20. So
Thanks.
no one on earth is going to think that you have a 20-year-old, because you look amazing. You always look amazing.
Thank you.
You really do. And we'll ask you about your beauty tips later. But
Okay.
let's talk about and
So
your 20-year-old's name,
Hudson.
Hudson.
Yeah. So it's just hard because you want them to be successful and their point of view of success may not be yours. And it's hard to take a step back sometimes and say, like, it's okay. They do things their way. And, he's on his path, his journey. And I have to, accept that. When they're little or when they live at your house,
Sure.
even I find in high school, even it's kind of you pave the way of what
You
they're
get to pick what they're
right,
wearing when they're 5. And then when they're 8, all of a sudden they care. Like, no,
right.
I want you in those shorts and that shirt.
Yeah. But then even still that, they every single day, you're the most influential person. And so you can try to help them through things or you see
Sure.
them struggling with something, you can easily jump in and try to help at that point. And then as they get to where, they don't live with you, it becomes harder as a mom. I feel like that's been the hardest transition is like how I don't want anything to, not go great for him. But at the same
Yeah.
time, there's not anything you can really do. You have to let that kind of evolve. So I find that to be a challenging part of being a
Like
mom.
being hands-on, being not pushing too hard. There's just always this like fine lines.
Or just having to be hands off,
Ugh. I know
totally.
I'm going to have a hard time. I told my kids that I was going to go to college with them. And I go, can you build a house so I can live next to you? So,
no.
mine are 14 and 11. So I know when that happens, even when they get, a boyfriend or a girlfriend, I'm going to
Yes.
like to be the second person in their life because, you've been the number one for so
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
I'm not ready.
It's hard. It's a hard transition. So I know everybody talks about like when they're babies or when they're little. And, I just see now a different perspective of really
Sure.
the hardest part is the time when you have to
Be
navigate how
hands-off.
you're going to still be a part of, their life, obviously, but what does that look like? Totally different than when you're, their caretaker.
Sure. Well, I would almost bet money that he has been watching you through all these years, hustle, persevere, grind out your career and your job. I'd almost guarantee that you may not think that he's been watching and taking those skills and taking what you have done. And you've set such an amazing example that he's going to be great. I really do. I mean, you're a role model to me and I've known you 3 years. I can imagine if you were my mom, it might be a little intimidating too. Like, wow, she's so successful.
I think that they'll, when you probably maybe like when you're younger, you don't really think about like everything that your parents did or sacrificed
sure.
or, that it was all for you, right? Like you don't really realize that until something clicks when you're an adult,
Or when you have to pay for yourself.
right? Or
when you have to go get a
reality-
job in the real world and pay a rent, your rent or buy a house.
Yeah.
You realize all the sacrifices
Yeah.
that your, family, especially your mom or your dad or whoever it is that was in your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it might take a little bit of time. It took me to be in my 30s
Right.
to appreciate my mom. So, but I imagine. So tell me about, do they all play sports?
So we're a sports family.
Okay.
That's a
Which is a huge part of who you are.
yeah.
Besides real estate, sports family is
Yeah.
like
We're a
top.
sports family. So I always say to the kids, we do what we're supposed to do. Because like at school, like I don't want them getting in trouble. I have one who's a little mischievous. It's always something.
There's always one in the
Yeah.
group, right?
But overall, he's a very, very good kid. It's just like, always like something he's done that I'm like, oh my gosh, a behavior notice of like,
So you're like, don't mess up because you have to play Friday night.
He launched his science experiment piece too far, probably on purpose, and it went into the other person's. It's things like that are typical of a kid to try to get away with, but not like I'm like. So we do what we were supposed to do, and we play sports, and I don't care what sport that is, but I think that there's a lot of value in being on the team, being in that setting, the responsibility of being on a team, that discipline of going to practice and, keeping them focused on those types of things.
Sure.
I think is of value.
I agree with you. I've always said my kids, I want them to be in something, not just going to come home after school and do nothing.
Right.
Whether it be swimming, riding bikes, art, but sports, because we're a sports family.
Yeah.
I was so excited this year because I see you on, online talking about lacrosse and football for the older boys.
Yeah.
And then this year, all of a sudden, your son is on my son's team.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, they don't even live beachside. How is that possible? And so I remember texting you and you're like, yeah, he doesn't even have a practice jersey. He was in something else.
Yeah, he was. But they didn't have a team for my youngest one. And my youngest one went to a summer camp, and the coach there said, he could play at our league. We do have a team for that age.
Oh, the summer camp here at the high school.
No, he went to a summer camp for one of the coaches runs for younger kids.
Okay. Because
like
he's 6'U".
yeah.
Okay.
And
he's in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is he with Tyler Schumacher?
I
can't remember. I think
it says 7U.
7U. Oh, you're 7U.
Yeah,
okay, Tyler's in
I don't
6U.
think that. Yeah,
there's so many. It's such a small town that there's like a boy on every team that we know.
There is, or like, because Bobby, my husband, also went to school here. I didn't, but he like grew up here.
Yes.
So then
I didn't know that either. We were chatting the other day. We were chatting away. He's like, I lived up around the corner and telling me. And he's we had a really good talk. I mean, he's so into football.
Yes.
I didn't realize he also was a baseball player.
Yeah.
And so James is a baseball player. So we were talking about different programs and he gave me some good advice. So I said, he's 11. So we'll see when high school comes around. We'll figure out, if we're still going in that direction. But
you never know what it will evolve to by that
never know
point.
Exactly. But so football, all the boys are in football and lacrosse.
So my two older ones had played lacrosse since they were little. And so they both played in high school. My younger ones haven't really started playing lacrosse. So I don't know if I'm sure that they will, but it's
By
not
watching their older brothers.
Right. Right now they're doing soccer, flag football, and tackle football.
All
so
the things. They're a little busy.
They are. Well, and that is another thing. We don't leave much space. We'll find another sport for them to go sign up.
How could they possibly add anything else?
Right.
Well, that's one of the things when we talked about, I said, well, what do you do for fun? And nothing. Like, what do you do for yourself? Do you go get massages?
Sometimes if I'm like having a pain, but not on a regular
not just to go relax
basis.
What about date night?
We do try to do date night every other week.
Good.
We don't always get to.
But there's intentions.
But we try. Yeah. So we do get to do different things like that.
What is like well, we talked about you like to have a project. You like,
Yes.
so is that like a hobby, or do you have
So I think it's a like madness or a sickness, like a
madness or
mental disorder, perhaps,
You're so funny.
because if I don't have a project, I somehow create one. So I don't know what's wrong with me, but like every week,
I mean, what I'm gathering just by getting to know you now with this short amount of time is you are such a people pleaser. You want everybody around you to thrive, be happy, be successful. I mean, that's
yeah,
kind of what drives you, I feel like. You really take your team as your family, and you want everybody to
do well.
do well. And so what I wonder is, how is that find time for you?
I feel like in this phase that I'm in, it's really hard to find time
Sure.
for me. I used to be able to, I would volunteer. I was in the junior league, and I would volunteer with the junior league, or I had certain projects that they always did that I would like look forward to, and then that would be my time with friends, and that we would get those things set up. And as it evolved with the kids, of it being harder and harder for me to, they weren't little, where they were just, at home, in bed anyway, at, by 7:30, 8 o'clock. So
Sure.
what did it matter if I was out, setting up festival of trees until midnight when they were already asleep anyway, So it wasn't like I was missing out on things. But as they've gotten to a point where there's always something for me to be present for them at, it's turned into, I need to be there. And
Sure.
even if it's
And
just a
it's
silly
your
game.
season of life too right
Yeah.
now. And eventually the younger two are going to be older. And so I think, like, in closing and all this, what I really want to know is where do you see the next 10 years? What does retirement look like for you? Are you going to be sitting on an island in the Bahamas? Are you going to work until you physically can't, into, you're 105? And that's kind of, I think a lot of people too, and especially on the team,
Mhm.
is, what is your vision for the future?
So I've been, obviously, I think a lot about, not maybe probably never that I would just stop being a part of real estate. I don't think that there would be a time when I would say, like, I'm just not doing anything. Even if it
No way.
is that I become an agent that refers people, or like connects people, something where maybe I'm not doing as much, like, way, way, way down the road. But I don't see myself just being like, I'm traveling and
See, I see myself
you'll never
on
see
a
me again.
plane, on an island, like with a cocktail. I mean, that's definitely in my, but we're all built different.
Yeah. No, I probably wouldn't ever be like, I'm done. I'm checked out.
I can
But
see you on a ranch, like a big ranch in like Montana.
I don't know. That sounds like a lot of work too. 'Cause
That's
we
true.
have a really small, we call it Button Ranch. It's our house, and it's small, right? There's 6 acres. And there's times when I feel like this is just too much to take care of. So I don't know that I could ever see myself wanting to take care of a ton of land like that, because it's a lot. And then also you have like all the animals, and then, we're out at midnight looking for a turkey the other night. And it's just like, what am I doing right
What
now?
else do you have on your plate? You're running around with turkeys. I'm going to be thinking about that.
Yeah. And then come to find out the next morning, Bobby goes to feed them, and the turkey pops out of this like trash bin with hay in it.
Oh my gosh.
And I kid you not, everybody was looking for this turkey for like at least an hour with
That's-
flashlights going around.
That sounds like a reality show. I feel like you need a reality show. You're hilarious.
Yeah.
So the vision is to just keep leading the team. How many agents are under you right now? I don't think I asked that. It was
We have a little over 100 overall.
100. That overwhelms me. How does that make you feel? Is that the most you've ever had, or you've always had about that number?
We've always kind of hovered. Once we got the team built up, we've kind of hovered in that like 100
Wow.
agent area. There's, when you get past that point, I think it becomes like really large and really hard for the broker to know what's going on with each
Yeah,
person.
absolutely.
And so I don't know how I would scale that, but I'm sure that if that's where we were led to that path, I would, figure those things out. But for the way that we have been doing things, I like to know each agent. I like to know what they have going on, and I like to be able to be available.
With 100 agents, it's incredible how available you are. So kudos to you. Um, I think we've touched on almost everything. Is there anything we didn't talk about?
Um,
You have any questions for me?
Well, so where do you think that you want to have your real estate career turn to in the next 10 years?
Ooh, well, 10 years, I will not be working. I'm
Okay.
49, so in 10 years, I'll be almost 60. So that'll be on a float in an island somewhere.
Okay. Well,
But real estate, which we actually just had a meeting about 2 or 3 months ago,
yes.
is that, being mom and dad for my kids, it's hard.
Mhm.
My focus is them, but I'm trying to integrate more real estate into that, because when I do have a client, I love it. I thrive on it. It drives me. It's so exciting. So we talked about, at least one or two
At a time.
at a
Yeah.
time. I think that's honestly manageable for me, because I don't
Mhm.
want to be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So right now I'm working with a couple people, and we're getting into the holidays. So, it's kind of
Yeah.
feels slow. I don't know. This feels, to me, it seems a little slow right now that people are not. But 2026, I really would like to be working with one or two at a time.
Mhm.
Um, and that's was my goal on 2025. And I was going to take the summer off, and it ended up having two closings in the summer. So it's been a lot of referral, and I think I need to build my pipeline and my network,
Mhm.
like you said. And I have all my notes from our meeting, and I look at them and I think, okay, how am I going to do this? And then especially having you come in here, I think, I want to get back into more training and get back to because every time I come and sit down with you and listen to you, I always walk away feeling inspired, and I want to go out and get somebody. So I think, with your help and your guidance and the way you've helped me market, I think that I'll get there.
Yeah. So as far as like the, podcasts that you have, how do you think that will like scale and fit into real estate?
I
Or
don't
do you not
know.
want it
I,
to at
I
all?
don't really,
Yeah.
the whole idea about the podcast was just getting a message out. Maybe I don't know what that message is.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think I have a lot to say, or I have nothing to say.
Yeah.
And who's going to give a shit? I don't know.
Right.
And so it kind of, it's evolving. And what I find interesting is I love talking to people. The gift of, I'll talk to anybody, which is good and
Good and
bad.
bad. Yeah.
Ever since I was a little kid. So, you know, sitting down and doing this is therapeutic. It's fun. I get to know you. I feel like now I've gotten some feedback from people in the community, friends, family, people in
Mhm.
California call me, "Oh my gosh, I listen to you. I feel like we're having a conversation." So I think
Right.
I want this to be fun and relaxed.
Yeah.
And I want people to line up to want to come and hang out. I've had a few people reach out like, "Oh, I could be good
I
on
want
your
to do
podcast.
that.
I want to do that. That's fun." So I think, there's really no particular goal.
Mhm.
There's no goal to really make money. If that happens and it gets picked up and people like it, bonus, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. So it's more of a passion project is what I say.
Yeah.
So
And there's so many people like right now, this phase, like we were talking about, like that I'm in a phase where you just have to like kind of grind through that phase, and you'll worry about the things that you need to do for yourself later, right?
Sure.
Because there's also the this age range of like aging parents, and taking care of them.
Absolutely.
And at our house, we have Bobby's dad living at our house, and he has dementia, and so it's like a whole other world of things
Did you
that
know that my mom lives with me?
no.
Yeah. So my mom's lived with me for about 10 years, and she's on oxygen and has a lung disease. So I'm totally there. We could have a whole nother hour
Yeah.
of what that's like living with your mom. Sometimes I'll leave and she'll say, "So what time are you gonna, expect you back?" And I think, am I 16 or am I 49? And I'll look at her and go, I don't know.
Yeah.
Do I have to tell you? But obviously, out of respect, she wants to know all that.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, the podcast, we'll see what happens. I'm getting a little um thank you so much. I feel like we got to know you a little bit more. We could probably talk another 2 hours,
Oh, yeah.
but I know you have homecoming and all the things that you need to do.
Yes.
So thank you so much. I appreciate you, and hopefully you'll come back and talk with me more.
Yeah, we could do a different topic another time.
Absolutely. Cheers.
Cheers.